we have Hikaru Nakamura here with us. The game finished in the draw. First of all, are you kind of happy with the result and how the game went today?
I mean, if you'd asked me before the game, would I be happy with the result? Yes. At some point in the game, I started to get kind of optimistic about my chances. The opening, of course, was a surprise, I think, for Jan. I played this knight g7, kind of inspired by one of the other players in the tournament who's played this. I mean, all this is somewhat known, I think. d5, yeah, and I mean, somewhere around here after bishop c2, once I got this position, I thought that I had great chances to maybe even win the game, but it was all very kind of murky, and I wasn't really sure what was going on. I mean, okay, now I see the computer likes this knight f4 line, which is surprising to me because I thought queen g5 was very thematic. But somewhere around here, I think the position would remain very, very balanced. I mean, I know the computer's now giving white some kind of edge after knight g6, but in general, I mean, this what it's saying takes an h4, I think is impossible for a human to play. So, I mean, around here, I thought maybe I had chances, but Jan found some good moves. I mean, he found knight f3, knight e5, and I mean, knight f3 was a move that I didn't really consider, but without knight f3, if I get b5, c4, I have great chance to win the game. So. For a second, I thought I had chances, but then, of course, when he went knight f3, I mean, we start to play this game of chicken. I mean, I also considered queen h6 here, but I simply didn't know what was going on after, like, a4, for example. I mean, it's very tricky. I mean, maybe the computer gives black an edge, but it's very, very imbalanced after knight f4, and yeah, queen c1 followed by knight e5, and I mean, I don't know what's going on here. Like, again, it's very hard to judge. Am I better? Am I worse? Like, everything's kind of in the center of the board, and you have looming time pressure. And I mean, basically for me, somewhere around this point, I was thinking to myself, am I playing like, you know, if you'd asked me before the game, I'd be happy to have white against Gukesh, regardless of whether he wins or doesn't win. I'd be happy to be in that situation. So then it's like, do I want that situation still, or do I want to, like, basically gamble everything today and try to, you know, go for it in this situation? And to me, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right, especially because I thought that white's moves would be easier when we get low on time here. So I did consider queen h6, but I really didn't know what was going on, and I thought it's just too insane, because even something like this with knight e5, and I mean, this knight on e5 is always there. There's queen f3, rook d1, and I mean, okay, the computer I see is saying some g5. I mean, that's just
I mean, you cannot play it just like this. G5.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if it's not the candidates, I can't play g5. But yeah, so like it's just a very tricky situation. I don't think either of us were really sure, and so a draw was a reasonable result.
You know, I felt before the game that Jan will really try his best in this game, because he is playing tomorrow Fabiano, and have you thought about it, that he will try to push and play no matter what the position, and somehow with his moves he didn't use this opportunity to play d5 at certain point. Do you feel something went wrong during the game?
Well, I mean, I think I surprised him. I think Jan, of course, wasn't ready for this bishop c5, knight g7 line in the Spanish. So I got what I wanted in general. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure what Jan would do, whether he play something else. I mean, because in general, like, I mean, I know we're playing chess here, but to use a poker term, I mean, effectively, you know, Jan is out of position relative to either myself or Gukesh. Gukesh today is playing with white, tries very hard to win against Alireza. Tomorrow I have white against Gukesh. So like, Jan is probably the one who's out of position against the two of us objectively, since we both have our opportunities. So I thought Jan would try really hard, but I mean, I think at some point also is very murky. And Jan, of course, having black tomorrow, I mean, if he loses today, he has no chance, I think, to win tomorrow. So it was just a tough situation, but I think it was, you know, for both of us, we're probably happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I also noticed in your Instagram account that you used the poster from Shawshank Redemption, this movie.
I have nothing to do with that, for sure.
You have nothing to do with it. Any thoughts why your guys choose this one? Because it's about hopes and dreams and not have fear.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's a very good movie. I have actually seen it, but I think in general terms, what I would say is I let my team handle those things. You know, not to start veering away from chess, but in general, over the years, you know, I've been a big fan of reading a lot of books about like management styles, and specifically about like Warren Buffett and how, you know, some of the companies like Kraft Heinz or some of these other companies are run. You know, I think Budweiser also is amongst those. But generally, you know, being very hands-off. So I try to be pretty hands-off with my style as far as all the social media stuff goes, and I trust the people around me. So they do their thing, and I'm happy about it.
It sounds good actually, and for sure we shouldn't have a fear when we're trying to achieve the goals. And
well, I mean, I think the main thing, and I think I've done a very good job of this outside of the game against Vidit, is, I mean, at the end of the day, I've said before, and I can say it again, there's, I think, much more pressure on everybody else. I mean, sure, I would like to win the tournament, it'd be very nice, but it's not really going to change anything specifically for me. I think for most of the other players, they definitely identify as professional chess players. It is their career, and so they view this as probably one of their biggest, if not the biggest opportunity. Also, frankly, because at the end of the day, I mean, I know there already are two great juniors here, but there also are two juniors who are not here, and Arjun and Noterbeck, who, I mean, when you look to the future, these juniors are only going to be getting stronger and stronger. So I feel like for Fabiano or Nepo, they could also be viewing this as their last opportunity. So trying to use that against, use the mind style or the psychology against them, but you know, it's still, at the end of the day, it's chess.
Yeah, so we're going for the last round tomorrow. All the best of luck with Hikaru. We'll go back to the guys to the studio.